The sky was calm. Then it wasn't. People looked up and saw the moon, disappearing behind a dark shadow. It was not a cloud. It was not a storm. It was a ship. A giant alien ship, bigger than any country. Black and silent. All across Earth, power stopped. Phones went dead. Cars froze. Even satellites fell quiet. And then, a voice, deep, loud, and everywhere. The voice came in every language. People in cities, jungles, villages, and deserts all heard the same words. This is the voice of Emperor. Vatal of the Galactic Empire, you are weak, but we offer you a chance. Send your strongest warrior, one-on-one, no weapons, no tricks. If your champion wins, Earth lives. If not, your planet burns. People screamed. News channels crashed. World leaders met in secret. No one was ready. The alien ship waited. It did not fire. It did not move. It just floated, blocking. The moon like a dark god. Military forces aimed their weapons at the sky, but they knew nothing would work. The ship was too strong. One press of a button and Earth would be gone. Fear spread like fire. In New York, people ran. In Beijing, families cried. In Cairo, people prayed. Across every nation, one question burned. Who will fight for Earth? The voice returned the next morning. You have 3 days, choose your champion. The countdown began. Scientists said it was hopeless. Soldiers said it was madness. No human could stand against an alien warrior built for war. In a base under the Rocky Mountains, leaders from all countries argued. Names were given. Fighters, wrestlers, soldiers, even robots. None were strong enough. None were fast enough. Then someone whispered a name. Ry Keller. Silence. An old general leaned forward. He's dead, he said. Disappeared after the Mars War. A woman in a blue suit shook her head. He's alive, living off-grid. No tech, no contact. Somewhere in Alaska. Why him? Someone asked he was Earth's best. Won the Titan Arena at 22. Beat the four-armed warlord from Jupiter's moons. They said he didn't feel pain. But he left, the general said. Walked away from everything. Why would he return now? The answer came from a young soldier who stood in the corner. Because he never ran. He just got tired of fighting. For people who only call him when they're scared. Far away, deep in a frozen forest, a man chopped wood. He wore a thick coat, gloves, and a beard that made him look like a mountain. His left eye was white, blind. His hands were full of scars. He moved slowly, but his arms were strong. A drone flew overhead. It carried no weapons, just a message. It hovered, then dropped a box. The man looked at it. He said nothing. The box opened. Inside, a single item, a silver coin with the Earth emblem. He picked it up, closed his hand around it. The wind howled, but he stood still. Then slowly, he looked. Up at the sky, I said, never again, he whispered. The drone lit up, a screen blinked. The face of the woman in the blue suit appeared. Ry, it's time. He stared at her. Why me? She answered softly. Because this time, it's not about governments, not about wars. It's about Earth. Every child, every life. You're not saving a country. You're saving your species. He turned away. But she added one more thing. They laughed at us, Ry. They think we're animals with sticks. They think you'll fall in one hit. He paused. He opened his hand. The coin shimmered in the sun. Ry Keller didn't answer. But the next morning, the alien ship received a message. One line. Earth accepts. Our champion is ready. That night, across the galaxy, billions of aliens gathered around their screens. They watched Earth's reply and laughed. A single human. Against Vatal's chosen beast, it was suicide. But deep inside Earth's base, Ry stood alone in a training room. He hit a steel wall with his bare hands. Again and again. Blood dripped from his knuckles. But he didn't stop. He was quiet. He was calm. He looked at a photo taped inside his locker. A little girl, her smile wide, her eyes bright. Come home soon, the message read. He whispered, I will. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The world now knew his name, Ry Keller. But most people had no idea who he really was. Some called him a hero. Some called him a ghost. To many, he was just a rumor. A man who vanished after winning Earth's bloodiest war. Now, he had returned. Not with cameras, not with a speech, just silence and scars. 20 years earlier, Rye Keller stood on red soil. Mars, the Martian. War was chaos. Soldiers cried. Machines burned. Oxygen was low. Fear was high. But not for Rye. At just 22, he led his squad through acid storms and enemy traps. He never hesitated, never stopped. He didn't smile, he didn't talk much. But he always walked in front, first to enter, last to leave. In the Battle of Black Ridge, his entire unit was pinned down by plasma fire. He ran into the open, alone, took out 3 gun nests with just a blade. He saved 14 lives that day. But something inside him broke. After the war, Rye returned home, medals, cheers, awards. But none of that mattered. His sister was gone, killed in a riot during food shortages back on Earth. The world he fought for had forgotten its own people. That day, Rye packed a bag, walked away. No goodbye, no interviews, just silence. People searched. Government sent drones. But he vanished. Until now. Back in the present, Rye stood in a high-tech chamber deep under Earth. Doctors checked his body. Machines scanned his muscles. Nerves, bones. They whispered in shock. He's not normal. His heart rate is perfect. His body shows injuries that should have killed a man. He survived them all. His pain sensors barely activate. He heard them. He didn't. Cared-out a young officer approached. Nervous, sir. I mean, Mr. Keller, I'm Lieutenant Brax. Big fan, sir. Just wanted to say it's an honor. Rye looked at him. You ever seen war, Brax? Brax stood straight. 2 tours on Europa, sir. Rye nodded slowly. Then you don't need to call me a hero. He walked away, leaving the young officer speechless. In the command room, the leaders argued again. He's too old. He hasn't fought in years. He's the only one who can do this. The woman in the blue suit slammed her hand on the table. He's not just a fighter. He understands fear, pain, loss. He doesn't fight to win. He fights so others don't have to. No one answered. That night, Rye sat alone in his room. He held a small picture. His sister, Lena. She had bright eyes and a silly smile. He remembered how she used to draw stars on her notebook, saying one day she'd visit them. Now he was going to fight in front of those stars, not for glory, not for pay, for her. The next day, Rye trained. He didn't use machines. He didn't ask for help. He climbed walls with bare hands, lifted weights twice his size, fought shadows for hours. He didn't stop. He didn't smile. And when asked how he felt about the alien champion, he gave one answer. Doesn't matter what he looks like. If he wants to kill Earth, he has to go through me. On the 3rd day, the alien ship sent another message. Champion of Earth, prepare to enter the arena of stars. A golden beam shot down from the sky. Rye stepped into it without looking back. As the light pulled him up, 1 billion people watched live across Earth. Some cried, some prayed, but most just held their breath, because now the galaxy would see the truth. Rye Keller was not just Earth's champion. He was Earth's warning. The beam of golden light carried Rye Keller into space. No ship, no engine, just raw alien technology. He didn't scream. He didn't flinch. He simply looked forward, as if space itself didn't scare him. Then, darkness, complete black, and then light. Rye stood inside a massive arena. Not metal, not stone. Something else. The walls moved like they were alive, glowing blue, red, and gold. Above him, a clear dome showed stars. Hundreds of galaxies in every direction. It was beautiful and terrifying. But what truly stunned him was the noise, a sound like thunder filled the air. It wasn't machines. It was voices, billions of alien voices shouting, screaming, laughing. The seats around the arena were full. Floating chairs held creatures of every shape and size. Tall, scaled beings with 6 arms, glowing worms with eyes on their chests, gas-based life forms that shimmered like fire. They had come to see the human die. A voice echoed through the arena. "Behold, the Earthling, Rye Keller, a primitive, a last hope." The crowd laughed. "And now meet his opponent, a true warrior of the stars, a beast of strength, a destroyer of worlds." The ground rumbled. The floor split open. From beneath rose a creature unlike anything Earth had ever seen. 10 feet tall, 4 arms, black armor fused into its skin, muscles like stone, eyes glowing red. Its name was spoken by the voice. Gravnak the Bone Crusher, champion of 72 battles, never defeated. The crowd roared louder. Some threw down bets, some screamed blood chants. No one cheered for Rye. The monster stepped forward. His voice was deep and sharp like metal. "You are small," he said. "Your bones will make fine dust." Rye looked up at him. Calm. He rolled his shoulder and said, "Hope you're not slow." Gravnak growled. The crowd gasped. A human dared to speak back. Far away, deep under earth, leaders watched the broadcast with tight throats. People in every home, every shelter watched with shaking hands. Some couldn't bear it. Others couldn't look away. The arena lights changed. A red circle formed around them. "Fight begins now." Gravnak charged, fast, too fast. He moved like lightning, fists like meteors. His first punch hit the ground, where Rye stood a second ago. But Rye had already moved. He dodged left, rolled, and came up behind the monster. He didn't attack. He waited. Gravnak roared and swung again, 2 fists at once. Rye jumped back, just missed. Then Gravnak's backhand caught him. Crack. Rye hit the ground hard. Blood from his mouth. The crowd cheered. But Rye stood. He wiped his lip and looked at the blood. Then smiled. That all. The crowd went silent. Gravnak rushed again. This time, Rye stepped forward instead of back. He ducked the first punch, blocked the second, and slammed his elbow into Gravnak's ribs. The alien grunted. Pain, Rye backed away. Now he knew something. Gravnak was strong, but not smart. He fought like a hammer, hard, fast, wild. Rye had fought better. He had survived worse. This wasn't over. Not yet. The crowd didn't laugh anymore. They leaned forward, watching, waiting. One alien general whispered, "Why is he still standing?" Another said, "This human, he adapts." In the center of the arena, Rye breathed slow. He looked at Gravnak and said softly, "You fight with muscles. I fight with memory." Gravnak screamed and charged again. Above, the Galactic Emperor watched from his throne ship. His yellow eyes narrowed. "Interesting," he said. A robot next to him asked, "Shall we end the match?" He raised a hand. "No, let's see what humans do when they bleed." Back on Earth, a little girl pointed at the screen. "Mommy." He's smiling. "Thy." Mother stared, heart racing. "Then maybe," she whispered, "he's not afraid." The alien beast roared. Gravnak, the Bone Crusher, slammed his fists into the ground again and again, trying to crush Rye like a bug. Each hit shook the arena. The floor cracked under his power. The crowd screamed, calling for blood. But Rye Keller wasn't under the monster's fists. He was moving, fast, precise, rolling, dodging, watching. Every time Gravnak attacked, Rye stayed one step ahead. Not because he was stronger, not because he was faster, because he was smarter. He studied the alien's shoulders, his balance, his breathing. Rye could see it now. Gravnak wasn't trained. He was used to easy wins. He had never fought a real human, and definitely not one like Rye. Suddenly, Gravnak paused. He took a deep breath. A bad sign. Rye knew what was coming. A charge, and it came. Gravnak roared and sprinted like a wild animal, all 4 arms raised. Rye planted his feet. He didn't. "Move, not yet! 3 steps, 2, 1. Then Rye dove to the side, fast. Gravnak crashed into the wall behind him. The sound was like a bomb. Stone and dust exploded everywhere. The crowd gasped. Rye stood, calm, alive, and said, "You hit like a Martian slug." Laughter. Not from the aliens, from Earth. Billions of people watching the fight let out a breath they didn't know they were holding. Some clapped, some cried. He was alive and still fighting. Gravnak pulled himself out of the cracked wall. Dust covered his armor. His eyes burned with rage. "You die for that," he growled. But Rye was already moving, not back forward. He charged, a blur. He jumped and kicked the alien in the jaw. The sound was sharp. Gravnak stumbled. Rye landed, ducked under a wide swing, and jabbed 2 fast punches into the alien's side. The crowd was silent. Pain, real pain. Gravnak had never felt it before. Far above, the Galactic Emperor leaned forward. He spoke to his war advisor. "He learns. Fast." The advisor nodded. "Too fast." Gravnak screamed and threw a fist, wild, angry. Rye let it pass over his shoulder, then slammed his elbow into the alien's knee joint. A crack echoed. Gravnak howled in pain and dropped to one leg. "Never skip leg day," Rye said coldly. "The 4." Crowd didn't laugh. Now they were afraid. Rye backed away. His breathing was heavy. Blood ran down the side of his face. His ribs ached, but his eyes were calm. He looked at Gravnak, the undefeated champion of 72 alien wars, and saw something new in him. Fear. Real fear. Not of death, but of losing to a human. Back on Earth, the reaction was like fire. Cities erupted, in cheers. Screens flashed Rye's name, kids screamed with joy, soldiers saluted. Bold veterans cried. The human who disappeared had returned, not as a hero, but as a warning. Gravnak tried to stand. His knee wobbled. Rye didn't attack. He waited. Let the fear grow. Let the pain spread. This wasn't just a fight anymore. This was a message. Gravnak roared and rushed again. Slower now, Rye stepped in, hit the side of his neck, elbowed his jaw, slammed his fist into the soft spot just below his ribs. Gravnak collapsed. The arena was silent. For the first time in history, an alien champion was on the ground because of a human. The announcer's voice shook. "First strike goes to Earth." Far above, the Emperor stood. His golden armor shimmered, his face unreadable. "Begin phase 2, he said. Down below, Rye Keller didn't smile. He didn't relax. He looked up at the alien crowd, watching, judging, and whispered, "Your champion's down. Who's next?" Gravnak lay on the ground, groaning, bleeding. His armor cracked, his pride shattered, and Earth's warrior still stood. The arena was silent. Billions of aliens stared, stunned. This wasn't the ending they expected. The announcer stammered, "The Earthling has landed a successful takedown. First in galactic trial history." Rye Keller didn't raise his arms in victory. He didn't cheer. He simply walked in slow circles, watching the downed alien, breathing steady. He knew the fight wasn't over. Not really. Aliens like Gravnak didn't surrender, and emperors didn't let their champions lose without punishment. In the throne ship high above, the Galactic Emperor turned to his advisor. "Send in the override." The advisor blinked. "My lord? Let's see how the human handles true despair." Suddenly, Gravnak's body twitched. His eyes snapped open, but they glowed a deeper red now. Metal plates in his arms began to shift. His body pulsed unnaturally. His muscles swelled. Spines grew from his back. He was being modified. Live, Rye stepped back. He watched Gravnak rise, no longer groaning, no longer feeling pain. The voice of the Emperor echoed across the arena. "Earth will not win by accident. If you survive this, human, then we will know you are worthy." The crowd cheered again. They wanted blood. But Rye didn't panic. He just whispered under his breath, "So, that's the game." Gravnak launched forward like a missile, twice as fast as before. Rye ducked, still got clipped. His arm went numb. He gritted his teeth and rolled back. The alien was now a machine, controlled by rage, no longer thinking, just destroying. But Rye Keller wasn't just a soldier. He was a tactician, a survivor. He didn't fight with only fists. He fought with memory, with experience, with heart. Gravnak swung again. Rai ducked under, slammed a punch into his ribs. No effect. Gravnak turned and backhanded Rai across the arena floor. Crash, blood hit the wall. Rai coughed. Everything hurt. Still, he stood up again. On Earth, silence. People feared the worst. The image of Rai, bleeding, limping, broke hearts. But then, he smiled. Not because he was winning, but because now. He understood. This wasn't about beating Gravnak. It was about breaking the system, showing the galaxy something they'd never seen before, a human who didn't give up. Gravnak charged again. Rai waited. At the last second, he dropped to the ground. Sliding under the monster's legs, he wrapped a wire from his torn wristband around Gravnak's ankle and pulled. The alien stumbled. Just enough. Rai jumped up and delivered a full-force kick to the side of Gravnak's head. Snap. Gravnak fell, sideways, slamming into a pillar. Sparks flew. Rai limped forward, breathing hard. He climbed onto the alien's chest, looked down at the snarling face, and spoke calmly. "You were made strong. I became strong. You were given power. I earned mine. And I fight for a world that still hopes." Then, one final punch. Right between the eyes, Gravnak's body went limp. Silence. Then, the announcer screamed, "Victory! Victory! Goes to Earth!" Earth exploded with sound. People cried, shouted, hugged, not because Rai had won, but because now the galaxy had seen it. Humans were more than muscle. They were spirit. They were unbreakable. In the throne ship, the Emperor stood slowly, his expression unreadable. He turned away from the screen and whispered to himself, "Then, we were wrong. About them." Back in the arena, Rai dropped to his knees, not in weakness but in peace. He looked up at the stars through the arena dome. "Lena," he whispered, "I kept my promise." The arena lights dimmed. Gravnak's body was gone, beamed away by medical drones. The crowd was silent, not out of respect but confusion. The human had won, and not just won. He had stood tall after beating a champion enhanced by alien tech. But what happened next was even stranger. The voice of the Galactic Emperor echoed across the arena. "Warrior of Earth, approach." Rai Keller didn't move at first. Then he took a deep breath, stood tall, even with blood drying on his face, and walked toward the rising platform in the center. A golden beam of light surrounded him. He floated up, toward the royal ship. Above the stars, the Emperor's throne room waited. Dark, silent, huge. A room made of glass and gold, looking out at the galaxy itself. Rai stepped in, surrounded by tall alien guards in silver armor. But none stopped him. At the far end sat the Emperor himself, tall, pale blue, draped in glowing robes. His eyes glowed like dying suns. His voice was deep, calm, and dangerous. "You have done what no one has done in 1,000 years." Rai didn't respond. The Emperor stood and walked closer. "You've impressed the galaxy. Earth is no longer a joke." Still, Rai said nothing, so the Emperor smiled. "I will offer you something no human has ever received." He raised a hand. A hologram of Earth appeared, spinning gently in the air. "I offer peace, technology, power. Your people will never know war again." In exchange, Earth joins the Empire. Rai's eyes narrowed. "As slaves, the Emperor raised an eyebrow. "As citizens of a higher order, you will have food, safety, endless energy. No more death, no more war." Rai laughed quietly. "At what cost?" The Emperor stepped closer. "Your world has suffered long enough. Why fight? Why bleed? I've given you the spotlight. Let your people live." Rai looked at the Earth spinning in the hologram. He saw the lights of the cities, the oceans, the clouds, and he saw Lena's face in his mind. His sister who died in a war Earth couldn't afford. He clenched his jaw. "You want our loyalty because we scared you." The Emperor tilted his head. "I want your potential." Rai stepped forward. slow, calm, and said, "You saw one man fight, but you haven't seen all of us. You think you're offering us peace. But Earth has something you'll never understand." The Emperor frowned. "And what is that?" Rai looked straight into his glowing eyes. "Choice." For a moment, nothing. Then the Emperor sighed. "Very well." He waved his hand. A door opened behind Rai. "Return to your planet, but know this, your strength has made enemies. Others are watching. They will not come with offers." Rai turned without fear. "Then we'll be ready." He walked through the door as the Emperor watched him go, hands behind his back. A long silence followed. Then the Emperor spoke to his guard. "Prepare the next phase." Back on Earth, Rai's return was met with thunderous cheers. As he stepped out of the beam, leaders, scientists, and civilians rushed toward him. But Rai didn't speak to anyone. He walked past them all and stood quietly on a hill outside looking at the stars. A general joined him after a while. "They'll come again, won't they?" Rai nodded slowly. "Yes, and next time, it won't be a challenge. It'll be a war." The general asked, "Should we prepare?" Rai looked up at the night sky, at the stars that no longer felt far away. "Start training everyone, not just soldiers, because now the galaxy knows we exist." 6 months later, the Earth was no longer the same. The people had changed. The world had seen a soldier fight alone and win in front of a galaxy that once laughed at them. No one was laughing now. Across every continent, training camps had opened, not just for armies, but for everyone. Men, women, teenagers, elders. They learned how to fight, how to survive, how to work together. Because now, Earth was awake. Rai Keller walked through one of the camps in silence. He watched a group of young kids learning hand-to-hand combat. Some were fast, some were sloppy. All were trying. A boy fell hard. He started to cry, but before Rai could move, a girl helped the boy up and said, "Get up." He didn't fall. He's learning. Rai smiled. That's what Earth was now. Not perfect, but ready. Meanwhile, deep in space, alien ships watched Earth. They stayed hidden, taking notes, measuring energy, watching humans grow stronger, and afraid, because they had seen what one Earthling did to a champion. Now, billions of Earthlings were preparing. The Galactic Empire sat quiet. The Emperor had not spoken publicly since the duel. But his generals met in secret. Should we strike first? No, if we attack, they will rise even faster. Then what do? We wait, and we watch. But one old commander whispered, "We've made a mistake. Earth is not a planet to conquer. It's a storm we've just awakened." Back on Earth, Rai stood before a giant crowd in the global arena. Every country was connected. Every voice tuned in. Rai walked to the center, simple, calm, and spoke. "We were challenged. We were underestimated. And we were offered peace in chains. But we said no. Not because we love war, but because we love our freedom." The crowd was silent. Then he raised his hand and pointed to the stars. "They think they've seen our best. They haven't. What they saw was only one human. Now imagine what happens when all of us stand together." The arena exploded with sound. Across the galaxy, thousands of species received the message. Some were shocked, some were scared, some were inspired. But they all now knew one truth. Earth had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Far away in a dark corner of space, a new enemy watched the screen. They were not part of the Empire. They were older, hidden, waiting. A leader in shadow spoke. "The humans. They're rising." "Then it's time," another said. "Prepare the Silence Fleet." Back on Earth, Rai Keller stood alone under the stars. The wind was soft, the sky clear. He whispered, "Lena, we're ready now." He turned and walked back to the command center. His people needed him. His planet needed him, and the galaxies it was about to meet the real strength of humanity.